welcome everyone to Chamber Chatter Live. This is our candidate series. I'm Tara Doyle-Enneking, the CEO of the Puyallup Sumner Chamber of Commerce, and my co-host.
I'm Luke Korum. I'm with Bill Korum's Puyallup Nissan. I'm also the chair of the Government Affairs Committee down here at the Puyallup Sumner Chamber of Commerce.
And we are super excited to have Curt Gimmestad with us today, who is a City of Puyallup candidate. Tell us a little bit about who you are, Curt.
Well, thank you for the invitation to come talk to you both. I've been watching some of the other shows that you have done, and a little bit about myself. Again, I'm running for District 3, Position 1 for Puyallup City Council. I decided to do that back in May, last minute decision, but I've been involved with the City Planning Commission for, since 2002 I got involved with the city. So a little bit more about myself. Been living in Puyallup now for about, how old's my middle daughter? 23 years. Married, 3 kids. The youngest one is 26, 25, 20. I'm losing track.
Grown young ladies.
They grow up really, really fast.
Yes.
I got a 23-year-old and soon to be a 19-year-old off to University of Washington. And we've lived here in Puyallup now for about a little over 26 years, 23 years.
Nice.
Yeah, when our second daughter was born, we just moved to Puyallup.
Okay, so long-time resident.
Yep.
And I'm sure there's many reasons. So you've experienced some time on the Planning Commission. You've been a resident for a long time, so I'm sure there's a lot of exposure to why you might want to run for City Council and what changes you might want to see for Puyallup. Do you want to tell us about what compelled you to run?
Well, there are a number of reasons that compelled me to run. One of them, kind of a big picture reason, was again my opportunity to get involved in the Planning Commission back in 2002. I had been involved in some other things. I got exposed to some of the leadership in Puyallup. Before that, my father-in-law was involved with the Puyallup Fair as one of the board, director for the board, and he got me an opportunity to meet some of the leadership in Puyallup. And as my career started to take off with working for a company here in Puyallup, Absher Construction, they've been around Puyallup for almost 80 years now, I started to realize, you know what, part of the community is giving me a chance to raise my kids here, get involved into the community, getting on the Planning Commission and looking to give back. I felt now compelled to really get more involved as I've been able to develop more of those relationships in the community, in leadership, and said, you know what, this is a good time. I got a call from a number of City Council people that are on the City Council today encouraging me to run, and so as you know, timing's right, let's do it.
And this seat is Tom Swanson has opted out of running again. That's the seat we're filling. He's been a great advocate of business. So certainly the chamber wouldn't like to see that voice go anywhere other than somewhere very similar, where we are still promoting and thinking about economic development here in Puyallup. And I know that many reached out to you for that, I imagine.
Yes. Again, being in the business community, again, opportunity to be on the Planning Commission. Also having an opportunity during that, I was on the Planning Commission for 14 years. There was a little bit of gap where I was off the Planning Commission. But I got to know people that work for the city of Puyallup, some of them still there, really, really well. So I have a connection with some of the staff associated with Puyallup and what are the operations of downtown City Hall type functions, and working in the construction industry. I've dealt with and have good relationship with that entity. So from permitting to inspections to what it looks like from a development standpoint, have a good relationship with them.
And Tom just actually joined us, so Council Member Tom Swanson.
Hey Tom!
Ears were burning, weren't they, Tom? Just chatting about you.
Also have someone cheering you on. Gary Wyatt says, "Go Curt."
Thanks, Gary.
You got a fan club.
All right.
Fan club.
So I'm curious, tell me about the Planning Commission, your experience on there. What exactly do they do, and how did that lead you to what you're doing now?
So the Planning Commission is it's a volunteer group of all things, but it's selected by the City Council. When there's open positions for the Planning Commission, you send an application to the city, much like other entities, and to go through an interview process, and then the City Council at that time selects you to be on the Planning Commission. So I was fortunate enough to go through that process back in 2002 and was selected to be on the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission has terms. So a volunteer position in the city has terms. A City Council now does too, but it's wonky. I was on for 8 years and got off because of that 8-year time frame. But I got on because I wanted to get engaged in what was going on in the city of Puyallup. Again, getting involved and starting to learn a little bit about the leadership in the city. Here's a good opportunity to be engaged, provide whatever input I can provide from some common sense, look at some things. And that's why I got involved. I thought, here's a way to meet people, provide some input, and it's kind of grown from there. You know, what were just the opportunity of what is the planning commission looking at zoning changes, the comprehensive plan updates. We were just talking here recently about what is the Puget Sound Regional Council's 2050 update to what is growth management in this area from Snohomish County to Pierce County to Kitsap County. And the Planning Commission for the City of Puyallup has a lot to do with taking a look at what City of Puyallup's requirements and opportunities are to fit within what are those guidelines that are given to us by the Puget Sound Regional Council.
Yep.
So you look at what is the Growth Management Act, regional growth centers. Won't get into all that kind of detail, but there's 2 of them here in Puyallup, one on top of the hill in downtown. There are some expectations put upon the cities to manage the growth within those particular regions. And if anybody wants to go do some good midnight reading, is go read the update in the draft right now for the 2050 comprehensive or the Puget Sound Regional 2050 vision. I'll call it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I think it's something everyone should know a little bit more about and have a chance to weigh in on. So,
Yeah.
good thought there.
Was there any highlights from that you saw from that?
Well, so good question. One of the highlights from being on the Planning Commission, actually was probably the most fun I had on the Planning Commission, was back in the mid 2000s, about 2007, 2006 through 2010, when the Manlaret and Knutson area out here at Puyallup on the other side of the Shaw Road Bridge now was trying to get annexed into the city. There was some relationships between the county, the city, how that area was going to get annexed into the city. Some of the property owners out of there wanted to come into the city, get their properties rezoned. Farming or agriculture was, again, isn't as what it used to be. Daffodils aren't growing anymore. Tulips really aren't as big as they were back then, and so there were some opportunities to bring that area into the city. It didn't happen quite the way it was envisioned when it first started in that process, but working on how to get that annexed, how the zoning was going to look. In fact, I think John Palmer was on the Planning Commission at that time too, when we went through all of what that was going to look like for getting it annexed into the city. It kind of blew up at the end of the day, but it was really, really fun to be part of that process.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of change here. So Luke and I kind of got to know each other better going through the Leadership Institute here at Puyallup Sumner Chamber. A great program. It'll start again in January. So we've got kind of a keen eye on being very interested in what different individuals' leadership styles are. So, don't know if you've thought much about it. This class was very self-reflective. I know I hadn't thought about my leadership style prior to it, but putting you on the spot, do you have a leadership style that you've identified?
Yeah, I do have a leadership style that I identify with, and I think I brought it up in the candidate forum that we had here a few weeks ago. And really, it's servant leadership. I've had a really fortunate for me, I should say, great opportunities to get a lot of leadership training through work. I've gone through leadership training in other parts of the country. Absher Construction actually has done its own leadership camp where we put all of our employees through leadership training and what it means to us as a company and as individuals. And during that time frame, I learned a lot about who I was about leadership, and it's not about me. When I say servant leadership, it's about putting other people's in a position to succeed, helping them succeed. And when you can do that, then I think the organization, whether it's a city organization, a business organization, or whatever, or even the chamber for that matter, has an opportunity to prosper. And so when everyone else is succeeding, me as a leader will succeed and the organization succeeds. So I'm more about putting people in a position of succeeding, not taking the credit. I don't need the credit, but when we can work as a collective group, then I'm pretty happy about that. I'm usually the one that wants to dive in and get into the detail about it.
Well, good leadership rises up too when you just surround yourself by great people.
It does help. It does help.
makes you look good.
Yeah.
So I met you, Curt, as a very nervous wannabe chamber executive.
I can't believe you're nervous at anything.
I know. I was a little excited, let's say, overly excited and anxious, let's say. And so Curt is a board director on the chamber, which is, again, I want to ask you a little bit about that. But just meeting you that day, you certainly facilitated a lot of the interview process, and I think when I have to make big decisions for myself, I certainly looked at that group there, and had to imagine, is this the type of group I would like to be a part of? And you definitely rose up high, along with all the others. But just again, you facilitated. You had great questions that to me were important questions that someone in your position should be asking of your executive, professional quality. So. Yeah, great first impression. So I hope you're making that same first impression here to the city. I don't know if you're doing much doorbelling yet or public engagements, but people should get to meet you. I just think there's a real commonsensical, eloquent person here that definitely cares and has his heart in the right place. So thank you so much for running.
Am I turning red yet?
Oh, it's my job to make everyone blush. So we'll switch gears on you a little bit. Tell us what you like to do for fun.
Okay, fun. I'm an outdoors person. I love playing golf. I don't get to play golf nearly as much as I used to, but I love playing golf. We were just talking about it here before this session started. A little bit of fly fishing. I love to go fishing.
Nice.
Luke was just in Montana. It sounds like on maybe a little vacation. So I love getting outdoors. I'm a hunter. In fact, this October, of all bad timing before Election Day, but
Right.
I'm headed to Montana to enjoy the outdoors for about a week, and so I'm going to do that. So I like getting outdoors. I'm a gardener. I love to garden.
Oh, good.
I've got my vegetable gardens growing right now.
What's our favorite vegetable?
Oh boy. Cucumbers, carrots is probably my favorite vegetable. I grow beans, beets, cucumbers, peppers.
Nice.
Lots of tomatoes. I love just going out in the garden and grabbing a tomato.
That is a good feeling.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I like the outdoors.
Good.
Spending time out there. It just gives me a chance to relax and get away. I head to Eastern Washington a lot. You hop over the hill. I know you like going over there as well.
Yep.
There's just a sense of relaxation after a while just to get out there. If I could sit under a tree, lean up against it, watch the sunrise and fall asleep, I'm a happy camper.
Yeah.
So Patty joined us. So
Hi,
good afternoon,
Patty Denny.
And she's asked all the candidates this. It's about property. What is your opinion on property rights regarding the Knutson project? Property is in the county.
Oh, you just opened up a can of worms. So, again, I believe in property rights. Along with that comes some good management. The cities are required, so are the counties are required to manage what growth areas that we have. So we need to be stewards of the growth areas and opportunities that we have for whether the city's going to annex that area in. So we need to have good, reasonable expectations of zoning associated with any piece that's going to come into the city, or whether we're chopping up zones within the city to provide further development. Again, back when I was on the Planning Commission, we worked really, really hard to accommodate what the expectations were of the property owner, the county, and the city to get that. There was a certain amount of acreage that was required of that compromise to be open space. That was part of the challenge, is how much open space that was, what that took away from the viability of the then developable land. That was some of the challenges there. But I think I'm in favor of people's property rights and what they can do to it, but we also need to have common sense zoning associated with it. I don't like seeing warehouses go up just as much as anybody else. When I go over that bridge and I can see that monstrosity of a tilt-up building sitting there, that's a big difference. But I actually chaired a public hearing when Van Lierup's were wanting to rezone part of that parcel that now has that warehouse on it. I can remember back then, I said, as a community, if we are wanting to save open land, and we've taken advantage of what used to be open land throughout the rest of the city and wherever else we've developed on this valley floor, then we as the community needs to buck up and buy the land.
Right.
It looks like we have Gary. He says, can you speak on some potential solutions to the homeless epidemic in the Korum?
Oh, we were gonna get there.
So, we can talk about
We're
it
there now.
Okay.
Nope, we're there now.
Gary, so I've been thinking about this a lot because I've seen a lot of questions asked of candidates about what you're going to do, and I haven't heard any really, really good solutions to how you manage what is the homeless crisis. Here's what I believe is contributing to it: drug dependency, in mental illness. Does putting institutions up or facilities up that help those kind of challenges certainly would help. In fact, I was just reading through some of the Tribune's article here the other day about a facility that wants to get built in Tacoma to help out with mental illness. They're having challenges with their ability to get permitting because the neighborhood around that area is scared of what might come with that, with people coming in and out of the facility. So those are those challenges. I think to get to some kind of a specific, we need to have a regional, much like there's a Puget Sound Regional Council that deals with what is how the area is going to grow. We need to have the same kind of format associated with what is dealing with homelessness in the region. This isn't a Puyallup problem. This isn't a Tacoma problem. This isn't a Seattle problem. They have these problems in Eastern Washington. I have a chance to travel throughout the country. This is a national problem that is focused right now on Puyallup. I think we need to get out of focusing on Puyallup, help those that need to be helped, but come up with a regional solution and come up with a goal of what we're trying to get. I want to have some planning, some goals associated with that, the metrics that we're going to use to measure what that comes out of those goals. And if it's not working, you change the means to where we're trying to get. But until I see all that, I don't know what kind of good solution there is.
True. It's definitely recent polling shows that is the #1 question on, of course, an issue on voters' minds. So I know.
Here's what I am not. Here's what is frustrating. I know it's frustrating to a lot of people is the challenges with folks around the town and what might be coming of that from a safety standpoint, burglarization. We're doing as a construction company, we're working for Cascade Christian Schools over here, doing a small job for them. Our trailer full of all our tools just got broke in over the weekend. All of it gone. We had a company, an employee at our company office over here on the other side of Shaw Road over 2 weekends ago, had a window broke in, alarms go off, somebody riding on his bike, dumpster diving, broke in the window. We have tools taken from our office in our storage yard in the back of our offices all the time. It's a problem, and frankly I'm tired of it, so we need to do something about it.
Yeah, amen, definitely. So I imagine with your background and being on the Planning Commission and being a director of operations at Absher and an executive, that I'm sure economic development and planning, permitting are all important issues that you'll focus on in City Council. We just heard about homelessness. Is there any other sort of passion project that people should know about you and that you hope with your overall vision for Puyallup that you could be helpful with?
Passion project. Well, I think
passion issue.
Well, passion projects, passion issues that I think one of the reasons I was stayed on the Planning Commission for as long as I did was to make sure, as we have 2 regional growth centers associated with what are the edicts to some degree that are given to the cities about how they manage growth, right? And the expectations of the Growth Management Act. To understand, here's an example. I think I read there's 4.8 million people in the Puget Sound corridor right now, just in the Port County area, let's call it. By 2050, they are predicting there's going to be 6 million people here. So how you manage that growth and the expectations that are put upon the city of Puyallup to manage what is the densification of downtown Puyallup and what is the South Hill around Willows Pond area, I think it's really, really important to have some common sense understanding of what that looks like, what that feels like at the end of the day. My wife and I raised our 3 kids here because we were able to come down Puyallup, have a good time. There's some great restaurants in town now. There's a vibrancy you get from downtown Puyallup. You don't want to lose that. Maybe there's some opportunity to continue on building what that is. We've got the 4th of July kaboom. That is becoming a pretty big deal in the city of Puyallup, and we just got a nice little letter from a 9-year-old girl who participated this last 4th of July and absolutely loved it. So we're making impact. So I want to make sure that we're providing the opportunities for family to enjoy raising their families, a community that is vibrant and collectively in it together, and that there are businesses that want to develop and feel comfortable about investing in what is downtown Puyallup or even on the South Hill. Give them some comfort, make sure that whatever risks they are taking, they have some level of confidence that that risk is manageable, not unpredictable. We can't, if a business person wants to invest in a town or what they're going to do, if there isn't some predictability about what they're going to do, there's chances of success are really
Yep.
So we have two other candidates that are joined us, Curtis and Paul. Curtis Field and Paul Herrera. So,
Hi guys.
Gentlemen.
You should be out doorbelling. I hope you're walking around with your phone and you're knocking on
I
doors.
saw Curtis the other night walking around. It was late.
Oh yeah, it's a job. Who else? It looks like someone else just said.
Gary again, cheering me on. Just saying, love
Oh, nice, perfect. Well, also, we had some fun with Charlotte Newman, the candidate for City Sumner, last Friday. Something you just mentioned was also important to her as far as just that community investment isn't.
Yeah.
We want this community is already the land of the generous. It's a very close knit, but really just that buy-in of just let's do this together. It's more than just having a slogan or having just an image. It's truly that community investment that makes this community.
Sometimes it's even hard to describe what that is.
Yeah.
It's the it, right?
Yeah.
I know what it is when I feel
Yeah.
it. And I want to, as more and more, or as more people look at Puyallup as an opportunity to live, have a family or a career, whatever that looks like, we need to be conscious that there's going to be a few more of us around here in order to pull that off. And how we plan for that, I think, is really, really important. And I think my leadership style, the way I like to approach things is coming in with the perspective that, yeah, I heard it, but what about this? And it's working collaboratively. I heard a lot from city council folks about getting together, making sure that we're working collaboratively together and working on taking on the challenges, but coming up with some realistic solutions to those challenges.
Yep.
But working together to find them. I may not have all the answers, but I'm certainly going to listen to everybody else's ideas and see how that can be molded into a solution.
So something else we asked Charlotte, which ended up being a really fun question, was, are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? What is your favorite Disney movie?
You told me that, and I've been thinking about it since. So I've got a lot of favorite Disney movies. In fact, we were talking about it early, going way, way back to, now I'm going to forget, Mary Poppins.
Yes, oh yes, yes.
So I love Disney music with a lot of music, a lot of songs on it.
Yeah.
And one of the ones that we've watched, my family and I've watched for a long time now, is Tangled.
Oh yes, that's a great one.
It's a newer one, I get it, but it has got a lot of songs in there that we just love to sing to.
Yeah.
My youngest daughter knows every line to dang near every Disney movie there is. So when we can sit around as a family and enjoy those kind of movies, we're happy.
Yeah, well good. I think it's always a little telling when we get to hear that
And my
answer
wife
to
and
that
kids
question.
are Disney maniacs too. So.
Oh, who doesn't love Disney? So, kind of as we're wrapping some things up, certainly if anyone has any last-minute questions you'd like to throw in, we'll keep an eye out. But as we're parting, if we think about your opponent, are there any distinguishing differences that you've been able to draw out thus far? I know it's not deep into the campaign season yet. But
yeah, I think things are probably going to get a little more information is going to be coming out maybe on both candidates. But I think a distinguishing thing with regards to who Curt is and what Curt's been doing is my involvement again with the city. Planning Commission, the Puyallup Sumner Chamber Board. I was a wrangler for the Puyallup Rodeo for a long time.
We didn't get to hear about that.
Yeah, so I was involved in that organization for a long time. Jerome O'Leary was engaged in that for a long time as well. I actually did the newsletter for a period of time.
Nice.
So I've been involved with that. My involvement with kids' activities. All my kids went to the YMCA growing up. So I've coached them from here to here. When they finally got into the junior high level, I said, "Yeah, you're somebody else's opportunity now." So again, it's the level of involvement. I'm really involved in a lot of stuff outside what is the area from a work standpoint. I'm on the board of directors for the AGC of Washington. I'm the first vice president currently. I'm on the AGC of Washington's Education Foundation officer board as well.
What's AGC?
Associated General Contractors of
Okay.
Washington. So it's again a contractors association, represent the Pacific Northwest all the way over to Central Washington. So I only bring that up to give a sense of that I have an opportunity and I have a lot of experience of working in collaborative groups where
Right.
we're working on solutions and challenges over whatever it might be associated with that entity. So I think that's a distinguishing characteristics.
Yep.
I'm engaged in what's going on, and I have the ability to go pull in other resources within the industry, within the county. I think I got a phone call from the executive about this opportunity as well. So again, I have those connections and I have the resources and the experience to work in this capacity.
Excellent. Was
I
there a
think there
question
was one question by Chrissa. Good afternoon, Chrissa. And then Patty Summers joined us.
Hi,
But
Chris and Patty.
Chrissa just basically was asking, and kind of goes down the lines with the homeless, but the youth aspect. What are you going to do with programs to assist with youth homelessness prevention and a youth investment center?
Youth Investment Center. Well, I think what we can do from a youth investment center, I haven't heard that there have been any conversations, and I'll get up to speed about that if there is any, about what we can put together for a good youth investment center here locally to give kids an opportunity to go land somewhere, to talk about whatever. I think that's a great thing to make sure is available to youth so they don't get into the predicaments, or at least we can head off the opportunity that they may have of getting into further trouble
Right.
down the road that might lead to the homelessness, might lead to the drug addictions, might lead to whatever mental challenges start to arise from all of that. The more we can help youth, the more I think we are better served than trying to then recapture somebody 20, 30 years down the line and pull them back into what is the fold. Doesn't mean we shouldn't, just makes it that much more challenging. So I'd be interested to hear about the conversations and ideas associated with that. There are a lot of good organizations. The YMCA is a fantastic organization. We got Commerce driving by.
Go Commerce.
A good opportunity to, again, as an example of people in the region that are always looking out and working really, really hard for the youth, is to partner up with those folks and let's talk about what that looks like. I know the Helping Hands does a lot of good things on families in order to help them get back on their feet and from those kind of things. I think, and I know the city invests into that organization, so looking for those opportunities can't be bad.
No, I agree. Was there another question there?
Oh,
Got it
Chris
all?
was just saying she'd love to join you and talk more about it. Seems like she does a lot.
We can hook up then.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Well, hey, this has been another great Chamber Chatter Live. If there's any parting words, anything we didn't get to hear about you that we should know about you, or any random factoid, hey, you got about 30 seconds to let us know.
Oh, it's about me again.
It's about you again.
Well, again, Puyallup District 3, running for the city council. I've told many people before, this isn't about politics. This is about taking an opportunity to invest in our community, and this is the way I think it's going to be best for me to provide good input as to what are some of the challenges that we have to face and planning for what is the future challenges. And I'll spend more time talking about what is the regional growth that is going to happen in this area than maybe some other things. We can tackle the challenges from the homelessness, but when we talk about what this place is going to look like in 30 years, we better set it up well in order to manage those challenges of what I think the regional growth centers are expected to be able to house up to 65% of the growth, I think I read. That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
So we better be prepared, and the community at large better be prepared in understanding what that means.
Right.
That's a lot of folks in a small area.
Yep. Well, fantastic. The commonsensical, great servant, leader, councilman. We're excited that you decided to run, so thank you. Very excited that you joined us today.
Thank
you.
you.
Everybody, thanks for
See
tuning
ya.
in. We'll see you probably later in the week. You never know where we'll be popping up. Bye-bye.
Thanks.